Hello, and welcome to the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse, Heater, and MJ. In this week's episode, we're looking at Netflix's 26th film, the 2017 comedy drama Girlfriend's Day. It's directed by Michael Stephenson, and it stars Bob Odenkirk, Amber Tambyln, Rich Sommer, Natasha Lyonne, Andy Richter, and Stacy Keach. Hello, peoples. Hey, mates.
Good. I never know whether to say good morning or afternoon or night because I don't know when people are listening to it.
Yeah.
So good day.
So we're just
looking outside. I can't even tell what it is.
it's very dark outside.
Very dark
I'll
outside.
say good evening because it is evening for us whilst we're recording this.
Yeah. So we always kick off our show by going around the table and doing a quick summary of the film. Heater's going to kick us off today.
All right, mate. So, in the high-stakes world of greeting card writing, Ray Wentworth was once the king. Now out of work and down on his luck, he gets caught up in a conspiracy of murder and deceit while trying to come up with a card for the newest holiday, Girlfriend's Day.
Nice.
I like that. It's a lot better than mine.
Yeah, I don't go through that movie.
Like, a man is struggling to come to terms with a once highly regarded career in greeting card writing. When a prize is offered to come up with a card for a new holiday, he must find inspiration while dodging others in the business.
That's good.
Not as good as Heath. I liked Heath. I want to steal it.
Feel free to if you want, man.
Your first line felt like the IMDb plot line.
I'm going to be honest. No. I wrote it and I was trying to think of a way to say, Ray Wentworth was all this, and I'm like, Ray Wentworth was the king. And then I looked at it on IMDb and it says that, and I'm like, wait, did I copy that in my mind? I'm not sure, but I'm going with it anyway.
MJ, your turn.
A charming, witty exponent of film noir that is completely committed to its nonsense premise. A greeting card writer is battling writer's block. With the opportunity to recapture his elite stance in the card writing game, Ray soon finds himself entangled in a vicious crime syndicate and can no longer figure out who's playing by the rules.
Good. I think we all said the same thing, but in nicely different ways.
That's the beauty of the fast flicks.
Whew, very nice. So after that, we have a look at anything that we've learnt about this film, and we always kick this one off to Heath because.
And if you haven't seen this film, by the way, we're probably going to be discussing quite a few spoilers throughout. So if you really are interested in seeing this film, go see it and then go listen to us first. Or listen to us, then see it, and listen to us again.
We're going to try and talk less than the film. That's got to be our. It's one of the shorter ones. So, Heater, what did you find out?
Well, the first thing I saw was it was filmed in LA, and it says it was filmed at a cemetery.
There was a cemetery scene.
But that's all that was the only filming credit at this cemetery. Sure, it was more than that, but that's all that was credited, and I got a bit confused by that.
I think you can use your common sense there. If something's not on the internet, you're allowed to...
The whole movie was filmed in a cemetery.
Obviously, the rest of it was probably filmed in LA as well.
Probably.
It's a non-cemetery.
area. Anything else?
Netflix secured the rights for it in November 2015. I read, so a few years out.
Bob Odenkirk, who plays Ray in this film, so he wrote and produced the film, and he'd worked on it for 15 years. So this was sort of a love passion of his almost.
So this was actually the original draft of the script was written by Eric Hoffman and Phil Zlotorensky, and that was written 18 years ago. And then they shared it with Bob, and he has sort of been tweaking it over the years.
So Eric Hoffman and Bob have worked together a fair bit in the past.
Yeah, so Mr. Show, which is like a sketch comedy show in the States where Bob Odenkirk was on. Eric Hoffman was one of the writers on that. But from what I can gather, the character of Ray was basically at the core of the original script as it sort of happened. But Bob sort of kept tweaking it and playing with it, and probably something like Netflix gives it a great opportunity to get this film made in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Netflix, I've got a quote from the director, from Michael Stephenson, and this is directly from him. He goes, "Eventually, Netflix got behind the project, and they couldn't have been more creatively supportive. They do have to uphold the values of their brand for their viewers, which is why they've become so strong over the years in making their original content and taking risks."
Yeah.
So
sounds familiar.
Very familiar. It's like they have this little script that they give to each of their directors and say, pump us up, pump us up.
He's right, though, because the Netflix are taking risks with this. I think they're quite minimal risks because at the end of the day, they need content for their channel, for their streaming product. But they are taking risks on no-name directors or scripts that no one wanted, or we're seeing a really similar story in so many of the films that we look at where, this might have been sitting on a scrap heap for a while or no one else wanted to make it, and here it is. And this one's a good film, so I'm glad they did.
So the at the start in the film, they state this fact that there's $3 billion worth of greeting cards sold in the USA every year, and that fact's true. So they included that for a little bit of authenticity, I guess. And while I was looking a little bit further, there's actually like an award ceremony for the best greeting cards every year.
So there should be.
Yeah, called the Louis. So that was quite a little funny sort of thing.
It's the whole thing's funny, and that's, I love how they open with a fact, and you sit there and go, oh, well, they gave you that, as if like the rest of it was nonsense. But the fact that this world that they half created, half of it is reality that we know, they're so committed to it. So, like, of course, like, why would they have a fake fact? Like, everything about this is just true. It's just you just need to sort of bend your mind a little bit to sort of get on board.
Yeah, get into the world.
Yeah.
Which I'm completely fine with. I think that's the charm of it, to be honest.
So, little other interesting facts. So that video at the start about the greeting card industry, the voiceover was done by David Lynch. So so we're having a bit of a giggle here because if you looked on, if any of you have looked at any of our letterbox, we log all the films that we watch, and I recently logged a little short David Lynch short, and we were trying to work out why, and the reason I found that was because I was researching this film. So
we started talking about it about a minute before we went on air, and Jesse was like, I'm going to bring this up, and I'm like, all right, no more questions. So that's the reason
why I watched the David Lynch short.
You watched this because he was the voiceover?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was doing a little bit of a web search through, and I was like, oh, okay, this short film called The Amputee, so I did that because David Lynch did the voiceover over that at the start.
Okay, it all comes together now.
Small world.
I know.
All right, what about some consensus with the audiences and critics?
Pretty mixed.
Yeah.
In terms of the critics, I think.
Rotten Tomatoes 43%, but only on 7 reviews, so not a lot of.
A couple good, a couple bad. Audience, I think we got IMDb was 5.2 out of 10 from just under 3,000 votes, and Letterboxd was 2.5 out of 5 from about 1,800. So kind of around that 50%, 5
really
out of 10
small
mark.
Sample though, isn't
it?
it?
Yeah, not many people have seen this film. It seems like
audience on Rotten Tomatoes was 36% on just over 200. So as you said, not a great share of people to sort of.
I didn't realize it was released on Valentine's Day.
Correct, 14th of Feb 2017,
which is kind of ironic, being a movie about greeting cards and B about a holiday called Girlfriend Day. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's really clever that they would have
clever marketing from Netflix. Because people are probably going to sit down and think, oh, this is a Girlfriend's Day. It's going to be a nice little romantic comedy.
Your normal rom-com audience would watch this and be like, huh?
What did I just watch? A few reviews when I was reading about this film, there was quite a lot of positivity, like from individual little reviews about this film and the way it was made. So
interesting.
Yeah, so there are some positive.
The performances from the cast were amazing. I think everyone was just. Firstly, there was just like name after name that just kept popping up, and every now and then you get introduced to a new character and be like, oh, this person is really funny as well. But their ability to buy into their roles and make this world seem completely real was so commendable. I think that was probably the best thing about it. The story was really cool, really fun, but the performances were top notch.
I couldn't find any awards or anything that this film's won. There are a few little connections to other films, like
there was a lot of connections.
Yeah.
That was my favourite bits of the movie. Was all those connections.
What were some of them that stood out?
There was the Silence of the Lambs one.
That was at the table when he's eating.
Really good. So when Gundy is eating his dinner, he's saying he's got liver, beans, and wine, which is a reference to Hannibal Lecter.
So good, because like
who eats the census taker. Like he eats his liver with some fava beans and a nice bottle of Chianti.
Yeah, because why be so specific about what he's eating? Everything about it was so good.
There was some references to All the President's Men and to Prison Break as well, which I really liked.
Did you get the Prison Break one?
I did straight away. Yeah, straight away, because I was like, oh. Yes. So the Prison Break one is, so Mr. Gundy, he plays the warden in Prison Break, that actor, Stacy Keach. And in the film, he calls Ray, the main character, Mr. Wentworth. And the main character in Prison Break, the actor, is Wentworth Miller.
When I read about
that was pretty cool.
link, I was like, That's very far-fetched. I don't even know if that's like...
That was cool. And the All the President's Men was the follow the money, where Ray's friend says, you got to follow the money. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, I don't know.
I saw it in a movie.
I saw it in a movie, which at the time I didn't know was All the President's Men, because I reckon that's in 100 movies.
Yeah.
And then I saw it in the thing, it's like, that's a reference to All the President's Men. I'm like, okay, sure.
The director said that it's like a little bit of a homage to Chinatown too.
Yeah. Which is, I watched Chinatown for the first time, I reckon, about 2 weeks ago. It was very convenient, actually. So I can definitely see how it was kind of more like a comedic version of that kind of movies. I guess that noir film kind of feel kind of thing. Yeah, but it definitely did have some characteristics of Chinatown.
Cool. All right. Let's talk about some characters.
I think before we go into characters and stuff, and I know we've got structure.
No. I'm not, I love breaking the rules. It's fine.
I just think the one thing about this film that we need to understand, being it really is that film noir kind of setup, and if you're not on board with that, you will be going sort of what's going on. I love the fact that the film kind of starts really normal, right? So you've got a guy who's down on his luck. He loses his job. You hear about his failed marriage. He's getting chased for rent. Like, this is just the normal way so many movies start, or so many character journeys start. Then it really starts to like head into that real indie film territory when you start to realize, like, hang on, why are greeting card writers like rock stars in this film? Like, why are they all so famous? And the fact that like everybody, as I've said before, is so committed to it, and the director is so committed to it, is kind of almost mesmerizing. So I don't know about you guys, but once I realized this is the world, I'm like, okay, I'm coming along for the ride. But once it turns down that corner for the first time, it just doesn't go back down to that normal down on your luck kind of guy. Like, Ray gets commissioned to do an under the table job to make a new card.
Cash in hand.
Taft gets murdered off the back of being involved in writing a new card that the competition wants to win. Then he gets assaulted by a detective who's working basically for a part-time crime syndicate, but all he wants is a card to make his girlfriend sleep with him. And then we meet a couple of ex-racists who are reformed into wanting everyone to be equal. And then you find out this whole murderous plan is undertaken by a card company to get Ray to write this card, basically. But the whole story, just treated with massive sincerity the whole time, makes you just like... I just wanted to take my hat off and applaud. Like, I was just so impressed with how they did everything and made you believe this world.
I get that, like, they've done a really good job with that. Did the comedic elements come through, though? Like, did you...
I was laughing the whole time.
Okay. Right.
Throughout the whole film. I think when we get to scenes...
I feel like you like this movie a lot more than I did.
Did you guys like it?
No, I did not.
I feel like I saw where they were trying to make the laughs, and I saw where that, that's clever, but it wasn't laugh out loud to me. It wasn't like... I was like, yeah.
I watched this on my own, which is I don't often laugh when I'm on my own, as probably a lot of people don't. And I reckon I laughed like 6 or 7 times, like out loud, because it was so fun. And Bob Odenkirk was so funny.
This could lead into quite a good discussion today, I think.
Good, yes.
I think we might be very differing on quite a few things.
Oh, look, it wasn't the best movie I've seen, but it was definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah, well, to me, the comedic stuff sort of let it down a bit. So, all right. Okay, good setup, MJ. That's a good
you
setup.
kind of need to lay that on the table before you really get into it. Because there might be people who watch this who just had no idea why things were happening and like, yeah, that's all well and good, but gift card writers don't get that sort of reception. It's like, no, like, we know that.
Yeah.
Like that, like, you need, as long as you need to understand it.
It's a massive analogy. All right, let's look at the characters. Who'd you like? Who didn't you like?
Ray Wentworth. So Bob Odenkirk.
Like or didn't?
Liked him. So as MJ said, I thought his acting was great. He was all into it. I'm just a fan of his to begin with. I like a lot of his stuff. I think he plays kind of that kind of character, like the down and out kind of character, really well.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good, and his character was good.
The funniest thing about his character is that here's this guy who we talk about as the greatest romance writer of all time, and you cannot see it. Like, in no way are you like, this is the guy who's writing the most romantic cards of all time. And that's why I think that he's just so funny, just watching this guy go around.
But I could believe that in the past he had been, because he was happier before we meet him.
Sure, but I think that...
that's why he was so down and out throughout the film, is because he's not happy with his life at the time.
Yeah, he's not. But even so, like, his whole demeanour, he's just misanthropic in general. And I love that. And like when they pair him with that kid,
Yeah.
he becomes just as misanthropic. Like it's not like he's just like warms to him or anything. He's just the same guy who's just cynical and hates life.
He's
Like,
just the same guy who just has this kid
Because
somewhere
he's got no one in his life to care about at that
he
time. So to be honest, I didn't like any of the characters. I don't think any of the characters were meant to be really likable anyway.
Likeable, true. Like whether you sit there and go, "I want you to win," is different to "I enjoy you and you're engaging."
Exactly.
On screen.
Yeah. So I thought the character of Ray was really good because they did a really good job of showing how dedicated as a man he was to his craft. So when they're trying to get rid of him, he's like, "I will fold the cards. I will do whatever I can to stay in this business." And I thought that was good, but he sucks at romance. So he's in this this business which is all about romance. And when you see his ex-wife, and her line to him is, "You should have brought your work home with you because that would have made our relationship work." So I thought that was really good because it sort of showed, this guy is maybe in the wrong profession.
How's the difference between her like life and house compared to his? And like
that was really good, stark contrast. Everything was white.
So white.
Everything was white.
And I love it how he just jumps on the piano and like just like real rich guy kind of setup.
So his name was Harold, the new partner for the ex-wife. When he opened the door, I was like, that looked like a cross between Drew Carey and Jack Black. It was just go back and look at the scene and tell me it's not like a cross between the two.
The guy from Conan, he's always on Conan O'Brien show. The guy that sits on the seat with him.
Maybe
he is
good.
And then he's also I've seen he's in a lot of things. He used to be the dad in a TV show called Quintuplets. I haven't even IMDb'd him. I just know it. He's in a lot of things though.
I didn't like the Detective Miller character either.
I hated him.
I thought
he was annoying.
And I thought his dialogue was disgusting. Like, there's a line where he goes, "Oh, we're investigating a homicide, you and your butt buddies." And I was like, nah. Like, to me, you pull that line out. It's like, I'm not gonna look at you in a positive light for the rest of the film.
You certainly
didn't think much of him at all.
You weren't supposed to look.
You weren't supposed to.
No, but you can come up with better dialogue than that to
so.
make him an evil character or a character that you don't like.
Yeah.
But I think I don't think this film wasn't full of evil either. As much as the bad guys were doing bad things, it wasn't supposed to feel like a evil villain type character. They were all kind of a bit lost, and this guy was obviously taking a job on the side to try and he had his own intention to try and get his own girlfriend to sleep with him again, which is so ridiculous, right? But that's why he's kind of got his own little sincerity.
They're trying to make him relatable to people, but I couldn't relate.
No,
you can't relate to him because they want you to relate to him to be like, hey, people want to send cards to their loved ones to
they went too extreme in that sense.
I think very few of these characters were supposed to be relatable, and that's why you were supposed to look at them on the screen and laugh at them.
From the outside, yeah.
The only one that was meant to be relatable, I think, was Buddy, who was his mate, who was
a teacher.
Yeah, who was a teacher, and obviously one of his ex-students, because you imagine that Ray Wentworth used to teach greeting cards at university.
So I thought that was lazy. Couldn't even come up with a name for him. It was like, we'll just call him Buddy because he's Ray's buddy.
that's probably half the joke as well. But the fact that
I didn't find it funny.
I didn't know his name was Buddy until I checked it. But I think he was used almost as like the audience's sounding board. So when Ray went and spoke to him, that was his way or the director's way of keeping the audience on board with, okay, this is what's happening now.
Yeah.
This is what you should do. This guy is actually kind of normal, lives in the suburbs, he's got a steady job, he's got a family.
And he's sneaking out of class to meet up with Ray and smoke some out the front of the school.
By far the worst thing to happen. But that's more relatable than, say, any other character, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that was quite clever the way they used him.
Any other characters?
I like Stacy Keach's character, the card boss.
Gundy,
yeah. I liked him.
He was great.
He did what he needed to do.
Yeah. Just played the villain well.
Yeah.
And also because of the Silence of the Lambs thing as well.
I just love the way they set this guy up to be like a crime boss. When he's like, he's the owner of a business, of a greeting card business. So good.
So the director, I haven't seen. This was his first feature. He was a documentary maker.
2 documentaries before this, and this is his first film.
But one of the docos that he did make, I had heard of. I haven't seen it. It's called Best Worst Movie, and I've definitely seen the poster for that and heard of that, but I haven't seen it. So
I haven't seen it either.
What's that about? That sounds cool.
Yeah. What about the act? Like we've briefly spoken about the acting. I thought it was fine. There was one character that sort of annoyed me a little bit. Like, they all played their role they were supposed to play. I wasn't a massive fan of the performance of Jill. I thought that, she was meant to sell that point that she was helping Ray through the bad times. Mm-hmm. Even though you find out that that's not her motive. But I just didn't believe her. So, she didn't come through, as an audience, you're like, oh, good, he's got this person that's going to help him through these bad times. But I didn't believe her. And
she was almost like a groupie more than anything else. Because she knew who he was. She was obviously a fan of the greeting card industry and a bit of a connoisseur of the cards. And
went to the greeting card bar.
I did like it when she's like, I work here. He's like, oh, what? You don't normally wear an apron and name tag everywhere you go.
Any other acting performances you want to talk about?
Look, sorry, but she was all right. I think she was very much a secondary. I didn't think her acting performance was too bad. Again, I thought she really bought into the role and the silliness of the whole script and narrative.
I did like how they constantly framed her. Whenever you saw her, they had that tattoo on her arm of his ex-wife's partner's cartoon character they made. Like, that was all the owl that was always on the screen. So that was a nice little touch.
That was funny. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some scenes. What stood out? What did we like?
I could talk about all the times that I laughed.
Yeah,
but I probably haven't even
classified as a comedy. So I want to know what made you laugh.
I haven't put probably all of them in, to be honest. I had a good laugh when he left the kid in the house when he was going to see his wife, and because I remember thinking like, where's the kid?
When he leaves it behind.
Yeah, he came in with the kid, and I just love the fact that he opens the door and then the kid comes back out, and the wife's just like, what's like? Why is there just this like Mexican kid walking around you? And I think that led almost not too long after into him singing Air Supply at the lights. That was good. You talk about relatability. How often have you seen yourself singing at the lights and someone pulls up next to you?
And laughs.
I think they did that really well.
I enjoyed. I thought the soundtrack throughout was pretty good. Like, I felt like the song choices matched really well with what was going on with Ray's life, and I thought they did that really well. It was quite effective, and it reflected the scenes perfectly. So that led on. I can't even remember what the scene was from, but that led on perfectly from when he was with Jill. I think.
I think it was.
The car,
and then he's obviously being all upset.
Yeah.
When he asked Taft's wife, can I use your back door? And then Paul says, of your house. That was really funny.
I had that in the... Yeah, I didn't like that.
The scene you didn't like?
No. Yeah. It was just... Like, it was obvious where she was going because she was so all into him. And it was just like... Do you really?
And I just love the fact that he was still so, like, detached and just didn't even care that she was coming onto him. It wasn't, like, through lack of, because I'm seeing another girl, I don't want to do that. He was just like, whatever, I'm not interested. But that line really got me. One of the funniest scenes is when he is walking through all those corridors to see Andy.
No.
I guess it's once you get to a point where you're really in on this film and you just want to see. This is after he's just met the ex-racists who were just hilarious. Hating a whole race of folks is a lot of work, is one of their lines, and I love that. But he meets these two guys. They're full of really good dialogue, and then it's like, all right, come with me. All right, this way. And just this way, and just down here.
So he went upstairs, downstairs, through a room, and then through a door. I wrote him down. I was like, upstairs, downstairs, through a room, and a door. I was like, not funny.
I thought that was hilarious, and then it all sort of culminated with the paper cut scene. Judging from your responses,
it's a greeting card film, so I get the paper.
That's the thing. You weren't in. You got to be in to really. Just let yourself go and enjoy what they're trying to tell you. But you're not cringing when they did the paper cut? Like, I was just like, oh, that's going to hurt.
Yeah, I didn't want to watch that scene because that just creeps me out.
But you could shoot him or you could give him a paper cut. It's like, it's so on brand with everything they're trying to do. I think it's just brilliant writing. I thought that was so clever. That's all my laughing scenes, but I reckon there was probably more because I just enjoyed this whole movie.
All right. Have you got any other scenes that you like, though?
No, they're
just
all kind of tied into it.
I said the big things I liked were the TV movie references because I just love when a film throws those kind of things in.
Yeah.
I liked when he's begging for his job and he says, I'll fold cards really, really quietly, and then he goes on about, I'll fold them quicker than the machines, and he's
300 cards a minute.
I do it twice.
He's explaining how the machine works and stuff. I like that scene. That was pretty funny.
I liked the setup at the start with that ad. So it was like an old VHS tape sort of feel with a crackly screen. Because it fitted in perfectly with the film, because otherwise you might get a little bit confused with how dated everything looked, and the mise-en-scène and the setup of the apartments, the offices, everything was a lot dated. It was very dated. So I thought that did a good setup. However, like, I'm not sure it needed to be set. So when he gets fired and he has to hand over his guild card and it says on it, membership 2016, I don't know if you really needed to know it was in 2016. Like, you could have had this film
and just left it.
Yeah, and just left it knowing it's not needing to know exactly. Yeah. There was one scene that I thought was a little bit humorous.
You're allowed to say that you thought one thing was funny.
Okay, good. So there was a big scene at the start where, the boss of the greeting card company has just fired Ray, and he's like, that plant needs to be watered. There's too many things dying around here. And I liked it when later on the film he goes back in and pisses on the plant. I thought, okay, that's a nice little way of like just saying, this is what I think of your plant. I thought that was all right.
What does he say to him in the bathroom where he says something like, I was only saying it because I was completely honest, but you're like a really bad boss or something. Like, I just you're waiting for him to say like,
I was just being honest. Yeah. I like.
Oh no, so he goes, I'm sorry that I like badmouthed you, but I was only being honest. And then he just ends it there. I thought that was really good.
I like the shots of him working at his desk in his apartment. Like, we saw that shot multiple times with him, like, always staring at that wedding photo. So it was like of that heartache. And him continually looking at that photo meant he was never going to be able to write this card.
And he always puts a suit on. Every
time. And the same sort of thing happened at the bar. Like, he was always isolated at this bar, and the things happened around him sitting at the bar. So there were a couple of good scenes where there's like these transitions of the people coming into the bar and disappearing. And also there was like one scene where I think they were introducing something on the TV that he was watching, and everyone else in the bar was a lot further back than him. And I liked those sorts of setups. So I thought they looked nice visually. I did like the final scene too. I liked at the start, so you set up, he's trying to beg for his job, he wants to make this card where you put quarters in it, and then at the end you see the bum pull the greeting card out of the bin and the quarters fall out. So it's like Ray did do something good for someone.
Shitfoot.
I got shitfoot in my forgettable scenes.
I also do as well.
Bum Wars.
Hit us up with your forgettable scenes.
I didn't need to see the Bum Wars TV show that he was watching. It's just... It was bad.
Yeah.
I didn't like it at all.
It paid off at the end.
Yeah.
Yes, but the production...
It was bad, quote unquote.
The production...
It was.
The production values of that show compared to the production... Like, him watching it on TV was so poor compared to the production values of the film, because the values of the film were really good. It looked like a really nice film, but then he's sitting there on this couch watching this show that doesn't even look realistic because it's so...
But he's not supposed to be watching like the greatest thing on TV. He's stuck at home in the middle of the day watching Bum Wars.
Yeah, but if I'm sitting at home watching Teen Mum on TV or something, and it looks a lot better than Bum Wars did, or Bum Fighting.
I don't think Bum Wars is supposed to be the highest production value TV show.
Something you watch on YouTube, not on TV.
I didn't need to see his wife having sex with an owl. I thought that was really weird, and I could have done without that.
So
scene.
I think that almost is the turning point when this goes from how funky are we going to go? What sort of path? Because by that point, you just think he's this out of luck worker who obviously is going through a divorce. And I think that's like the first time where you're like, what the hell? Like, where is this movie going? So they kind of needed some big stamp for you to be like, no, this is not what you think it's going to be.
And yeah, I didn't like that, and I thought it wasn't needed. But you work out like why they've got it, because it brings them in with
the whole owl thing.
Yeah,
I just didn't like
didn't need
the
it.
scene. Yeah,
didn't need it.
I'll go. Just when you first meet Ray's landlord and he's got the kid with him, and he mentions that he's stuck with his sister's kid and he can't throw him off the roof. Just didn't like the line of throwing the kid off the roof. Like, say something else, like, I can't do something else with him. I can't just leave him at home or something. You don't need to say I can't throw the kid off the roof.
And prior to that, he's like, "Oh, I can't pay rent. Do you want me to blow you?" And I was like, there was no need for that. And then again, when he talks to his boss at the end, when he's in the factory, and he's like, "Oh, something about sucking me as well," and it's just like, you don't need that dialogue.
Yeah. It kind of felt on brand with the rest of the film.
But it wasn't funny. You can come up with a clever, like a smarter line.
Sure.
What did you think of the poet? I just thought his scenes were...
So that's my one...
I didn't like...
Yeah, my one bad scene is I maybe disliked the smash poetry. But I still like that, like, Ray took the piss out of it. He's like, oh yeah, that was about your motorbike, yeah? He's like, oh well, it was more than that, but okay.
Yeah, and then what was the next one about? It was like the jet ski or something.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, hilarious. I thought that the introduction of the contest for the amateurs and out of work professionals for the greeting card competition, that was way too convenient. Like,
But of course, that's what I mean. This film is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they just completely own it. They're like, yeah, we know we're ridiculous, but we are committed to living this out. Of course it's ridiculous. Like, it's a greeting card competition, but only for out of work. Like,
too specific.
Like, exactly right. That's the point. That's why him and Taft are like the only two people that could even... Who's an out of work greeting card writer?
What about being mandated to pick up the cat as from the divorce settlement?
It's just stupid.
It's just stupid.
But you can't get annoyed at stupid things.
Why couldn't it have been a
Just-
pet owl? That would have fit in. That would have been better because then it relates it to. I thought the scene where Taft or whatever his name was got stabbed in the factory. It
feels weird saying Taft, doesn't it? But
Taft.
Taft. Yeah.
Yeah, where he got stabbed and he's like dying, like I love you or whatever. Oh.
No, he says like AAAA.
Yeah.
So he says the name of the
Ugh, gross.
people that killed him.
I didn't like the scene where the cop's staring through the window and he comes out and starts punching him in time to the horn. It just did my head in.
The punches in this movie infuriated me just because it was so obvious that they didn't hit. And I'm sure they were supposed to be like that just because of the way the film was. But for the amount of punches thrown, and it was just so obvious that, you know, they didn't actually hit anyone, just really infuriated me.
It's like, hey, punch me in the neck.
Just hit him with a punch. It really infuriated me.
I wish this was like a video podcast so you could see MJ's reaction to what I was saying.
I'm actually trying to be like, no, like don't have like a comeback every time they say something they don't like. Like, of course, I shouldn't every time you say something. No. But that's why I didn't say that.
You
No,
like-
I'll give you that.
You
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, you like the gangsters. I didn't really like them. I thought,
I didn't love or dislike them. I just
yeah. The living room.
hang on, the gangsters being the ex-racists.
Yeah, the ex-racists, yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought they were hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody ain't better than nobody.
The living room, like showroom, where everything in his apartment has like a ticket on it.
So that was really that was one of the things I should have put in the scenes that I liked.
Yeah.
Because when he said it the first time, he's like just like talking like absolute crap. Like, you just do this, you know, put everything on a table and say everything on this table is $100, and then he comes home, everything on this table is $100, and it's like a glass. It's like nothing that would have been worth $100. But I just love the fact that his landlord was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. So good.
Towards the end, there's this scene where they're all in Jill's place, and he lights the card on fire and burns it, so no one can read the card. And then they drive him off to this isolated place out in the middle of nowhere, and they tie him up to the chair, and their question to him while they're holding him is, "Where's the card?" They were just there when they saw him burn it.
I just love the fact that like there's probably like 6 words on the card, and they're like, "Where's the card? Like, we got to know the card." It's like, just tell me what it says. But again, that all comes down to them. I just love the fact that the card itself, which is something that's like really subjective, like, okay, he's going to write this card, it's going to be the best card. It's like, well, who knows? But they treat it as like this tangible, objective artifact almost.
It's like the Holy Grail.
Exactly. The value of it's like undisputed. It's
Another thing I didn't like at the end where Gundy's talking about, you know, how all holidays are born in blood. So he goes like through the 4th of July's war and Mother's Day's pregnancy and Christmas and Easter is about like Jesus being crucified. And he's like, it's all about sacrifice and, you know, I'm following that template. How does that relate to Girlfriend's Day? Because the holiday wasn't created from his actions. It had already been announced.
He's trying to say the holiday is getting created by we're killing, kill people to get the right card.
Yeah, but the holiday had already been created.
I think he's more talking about the greeting card world is tainted in blood.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, based on everything that happened, it definitely is.
I actually thought that was an interesting point when he said all that. Yeah. Like, obviously, you can squeeze anything any way you'd like.
Yeah.
Like, Mother's Day isn't about like the torture of a child. But when he said like, and Jesus dying on the cross, I'm like, gosh, you're right. But
what about Christmas?
he said Christmas and Easter, and then he spoke about Easter. And I'm like, Christmas was just his birthday.
Yeah,
That's like a Mother's Day card.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the birth. There's no kind of... I don't think I feel.
But it was just an interesting take because you obviously never think of it like that. When it's a very dark way to look at it.
Last thing that got me was there was that montage at the end where you see everyone that you've met giving someone a card to sort of, you know, show that their story is complete. So like you had the co-workers gives the girl from the office the card, the cop gives his wife the card, the ex-wife gives the owl dude the card, teacher gives the partner the card. And I was like, this is the first time that we've seen that he's got a boyfriend.
Which Oh, Buddy.
Buddy,
the best friend.
I was
yeah.
like, we could have seen that before. We didn't need to know. Like you could have used that more than that, and then rather just a token thing at the end.
Not to mention, I didn't know the two workmates worked together either.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so it was like
True.
you're trying to close these gaps
Yeah.
these relationships, and it's just like, well, we didn't really know that those relationships were there in the first
So
place.
it might have needed more than the 70 minutes to add in a few
Yeah.
more scenes.
Maybe they didn't realise. They're like, you know what? We've got no one to give the cards
Cards
to each other.
They made a whole movie about greeting
all these
cards.
people need partners now.
No one uses greeting cards anymore. All right, let's talk about some underlying themes. What was the film trying to say?
I think for me, there was less of an overarching premise to the film and more about having a lot of fun and treating everything sincerely, like it really means something to all these characters, which somewhat leads to a theme of representing a blown out proportion allegory of people's lives. So particularly their business lives or the industries that they work in. This ridiculous world of greeting card writers, whilst it seems crazy that they would actually have this kind of repertoire. Some industries you can get so into that industry that you kind of forget about the world outside the industry.
Yeah.
And unless you're in it, you don't really know it. But there'd be some people that would resonate with that part of this story, being like, oh yeah, I work in finance and we've got these bloody finance awards, and people don't think outside of that. So I think the fact they created this whole world out of this tiny little premise was maybe just a little message about that.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Real good.
I had heaps of stuff in this, and I think like there's heaps of good messages in this. I just don't think I'm not 100% sold on the way it was done through the story, because for the first 20 minutes or so, I thought this film was about depression. I thought the film was literally an analogy of Ray trying to overcome his depression, and from a loss from a relationship and trying to overcome these tough times, losing your job, having no money to pay your rent. And I think what sort of got me towards the end was that there was no massive payout, when that was how I was sold on the movie. So I was sold on it. There was this story of this guy who's down and out, who's going to possibly or hopefully overcome it with these little comedic sort of elements. And I think that's probably why I felt a little bit let down at the end, was because
Went down a completely different path.
it went down a completely different path. And I feel like there was a good movie in there that could have gone that way, but it sort of didn't, play that out.
I was kind of, once I got to the point where I realised that this was really silly and the plot and narrative wasn't that important, I was trying to look a bit deeper and go, okay, so they've obviously got a underlying message that they want to give out, and they've written a story around that message. But I don't think they really did that, because I was trying to look for that as well and I couldn't find it.
There's a lot about like creative failure as well about these people, because you've got the guy who's gone to try and write a novel, and so his burnout. You've got this burnout of people.
His editor needs him to write a little bit more.
3 words, yeah.
He's doing 3. I'm like, man, he's
3 words.
Yeah, 3
written 3 pages. Like, he's struggling.
There's like 3 chapters.
3 chapters. I'm like, oh yeah, 3 chapters isn't too bad. 3 words. Excellent. Excellent.
There was this whole underpinning thing as well, like with feelings, like how do people show their feelings? Because greeting cards are about feelings. So the whole thing is this Girlfriend's Day. It's your ability or your chance to show how you're feeling to someone. And Ray struggled with this the whole way through the film. Like, he was really didn't know how to do it. Like, and there was this line where it said, you should never write for anyone, you should always write for someone. And he was missing that someone the whole film. So that's like when you got towards the end and he had that Jill and he's like, I'm not selling this, I'm just giving it to her. I was like, good, this guy is bouncing out. And then it sort of just, I probably would have given this an awesome rating if it didn't continue from that.
Yeah, okay.
Because that I saw that growth in that character and that character rebound, and it was just like, let's just put that foot back on his head and stamp him back down to where he...
It's almost as if...
And I get what you're saying, because the whole film, you've taken it as this...
It was this fun riff on characters, and it's almost like if they go down that path, it becomes the mainstream film they didn't want to make.
Yeah.
Even with the fact that the guy who kills the bad guy, let's call Stacy or Gundy the bad guy, because he is. He gets killed because of this other guy's crazy mantra that like, I want everyone to be
Everyone's
equal.
better than no one else.
And he just shoots him because of it. And like, that is so, like, it's stupid. But everything about this
was he the junkie father though?
No, he wasn't.
No, neither of those guys were junkies.
No.
Okay. Love as well. Like, so obviously you're talking about greeting cards and that sort of stuff. And there's that conversation where Ray's got that kid on the swing. And he's like, they're talking to the kid about love. And like the kid's like, yeah, I love trucks. And he's like, trucks never leave you. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's a good sort of thing. If you've got some some object or something that you can use that as an emotive way of saying, yeah, I love someone. And then he's like, oh, my dad says trucks always break down anyway. So it's sort of like rebounded and just shut that down anyway.
I actually kind of love the fact that you started to get a feeling this kid's going to be like, I don't know if any of you guys have seen a movie called Happy Thank You More Please by Josh Radnor.
No.
It's like he kind of stumbles across his kid, and this kid, like, whether he knows it or not, helps him sort of discover who he is and rah-rah. And you kind of get the feeling it was going to get to that point the couple of times he spends with him, and then they just take the kid away. And I just love how every time you think you're going somewhere, like, no, don't be stupid.
But he's back in that montage at the end, so he comes back from Chicago
everyone's
just for a
montage.
So self-worth as well. Ray wasn't good at anything, realistically.
He hated everyone and everything. That was him.
It was. Technology too. I found it really interesting. The only thing in this film that was updated technology were the TVs. Everything else was dated technology. Typewriter.
Yeah, he was writing on the typewriter. Yeah, that was interesting.
There was no other use of like digital technology except, and you could see that in every setup. So, maybe it was sort of saying that you can't use an email to say I love you. You need physical sort of stuff that goes back to what's happened in the past. And the final thing, like corrupt business too. Like it doesn't matter what the business is. There's corruption in no matter what sort of
what kind of industry you're in. Yeah, there's always going to be the big one.
Bad people.
Yeah.
I liked what it was trying to say. I did like what it was trying to say.
There.
Yeah, it just sort of. Yeah, I just wasn't happy with how it sort of played out.
Even the one-line commentary on racism. It's a lot of work to hate an entire race.
It is.
That's all they say in it, but it's almost just like saying, racism's stupid, guys. And they just leave it at that.
All right, what did we take away from this film? Peter?
Not one to see in the cinema.
Yeah?
No, I think...
But this wouldn't have been made prior to streaming days.
There's no way this even gets a theatrical release. No. So it's a fun riff on a really quirky scenario that cinema chains wouldn't even look at. And I think that's exactly what Michael Stephenson and Bob Odenkirk wanted. Like, they just wanted to live somewhere that people can see it and enjoy it for what it is. But you're right, it wouldn't have been good in cinema, and it wouldn't have been made without streaming being available.
It dragged a little bit for me, even though it was like the shortest film we've done so far. And like I said to you, I'm still a little bit confused about how much I should like it or not. I'm still, not... And I don't like walking out of a film feeling that way.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I liked it as I watched it. I liked it immediately after, and I liked it the more I read about it. And I'm not saying this isn't like the perfect film or anything.
No.
I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, and I think it was different. Like, I think the best thing about it, as I've sort of harped on about, is that it presents real stakes in a world that should seem largely unimportant. And it was a lot of fun watching the movie makers treat that with such sincerity. Like, everyone, actors, director, was all in on this, and that was a lot of fun.
It was really well made. Like, it's no digs on how it was made.
So you were in from the start, at the very start.
Yeah, I kind of, once I realised what they were doing, I was like, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Okay.
And that's why I like the scene when walking through all the walkways and staircases and stuff. I'm like, that's hilarious because it's so stupid, but you're just owning it. And then, like, Bob Odenkirk doesn't go, wow, what the hell, how did I get here? He just does it.
He just accepts it and just follows the lead.
If I look at most of the things that annoyed me about the film, they were all post him, finding out that the girl was working for the bad guys. So prior to that, like
75,
I said,
the first 75%.
Yeah, like I was okay with what was going on, but then I don't know. That's what probably annoyed me because I got lost then, and that's why those scenes that you talk about. Where I was like, these two guys that used to be racist, this really drawn out walk through a house.
And you're waiting. I felt like, I want this guy to have his payout. I'm like, this guy's not going to get a payout, and if he does, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, if we use IMDb at any stage during the film, we like to, may jump on and check out some actors or actresses that
everyone does it. Like, I don't even watch TV now without jumping on IMDb. Like,
so you spoke about Gundy before. I didn't need to look him up. I recognised him from Prison Break straight away.
Yeah.
The one I did look up was Mrs. Taft, the one who tried to crack onto him. I was like, you are so familiar. I just
American
couldn't.
Pie.
Yeah, American Pie and Orange is the New Black. Straight away, I was like, bang.
She's a new Russian doll or whatever that is.
And I've seen that trailer on Netflix 100 times.
I've never watched it.
Saw her and it's like, you're the chick from American Pie.
She's in a lot of things and I think it's her voice. It's like so distinctive. I did Gundy as well. Super familiar. He's in lots of stuff, obviously, Stacy Keach, but the main thing that I think that got me was he's the voice of Howard Duff on The Simpsons, like the owner of the Duff Corporation.
Yeah.
He's got that really distinctive voice. I watched and read Cell recently, Stephen King novel, and he's Charles in Cell. He's also in Sin City.
He's good in American History X.
Game to Kill For.
as
Gosh, I've
well.
been there for a long time.
He's good in that.
And he's also in one episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine that I recognise him very strongly in. He's in tons of stuff.
I jumped on for the one of the racist guys, the one who actually kills Gundy.
Oh, yeah.
So he's in Colony, a TV show recently watched, and that's the second time that I've IMDb'd one of our movies for the TV show Colony. Yeah,
I've got a lot of Netflix producers watching Colony.
Yeah.
Doing a bit of scouting.
hiring them all.
Do you guys have any questions for any of us?
I want to answer it if you do.
I don't. Sorry, no.
I got a couple of short ones. So I said I liked that scene at the end where the bum finds the card in the bottom of the bin. Was this like sort of a message saying that, you know, Ray's greatest card actually was this card with the quarters because he's actually made a chance to someone's, like, change their life or, like, make them feel like they're wanted? Because, like, we see him get kicked out of the office, so we see this card with the quarter, so you assume that this card's been produced somehow.
Yeah.
So
was he just
what
throwing it
happened
away?
in between what happened
Or was it produced, or has he just thrown that card in the bin?
with the quarters in it?
That's just one card, and he's
card that
happened
you
to find it.
Maybe.
Whether
And
it's
that's what I thought it was. I didn't think it was a mass-produced card. I thought that was the exact card that he had shown as like the example.
I thought they stole the idea. They're like,
okay.
you know what?
Yeah.
Let's just do this one anyway.
But I feel like Ray actually put the quarters in there for that guy because he purposely, when he's doing the car instructing, he asked the girl to pull over so he can look at
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he sees
So he
kind of
sees where he is and
True.
where he's
Yeah,
doing.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I feel like that's the moment where he's gone, okay, I've
It's
done
like the
something.
only like good thing he does for anybody, even including himself.
Yeah. One thing that I couldn't work out, there was a lot of focus on like frames on walls in the background. Like a lot of the times the camera would pull out and you'd look at the photo, the picture of the boss and that sort of stuff. I don't know. I couldn't work out why did they do that. Because there was one right at the start when he's getting fired.
Wasn't that Gundy though, the boss?
So was that because that was in multiple rooms, like the picture, and I didn't go back and look at it because there was one right at the start where he's in the tea room or wherever it was, and then he goes up to the boss upstairs, and I was just like, yeah,
I thought it was Gundy, but then again, he worked for the company that Gundy's brother owned, didn't he?
yeah.
So maybe that's
Yeah.
just like showing that he looks the same. I don't know.
It's the same guy maybe. When the office crew, they kept coming to that bar so they could catch up with Ray, and there was like they were watching that news report of Taft dying, and then one of the guys goes, "Oh, another one bites the dust." I was like, "Who else has died?"
Yeah.
I was like, "There's no one else in this film that's actually died."
No one else had died.
I have a question for you, MJ.
Yeah,
Did we get a Todd update? There was a dog bark in this one that I picked up on as he was walking down there was this helicopter and noise, and there was no Todd update.
So I'm wondering if Todd was. I think I was watching this one by myself, so he might have been sleeping in another room at the time. But I'm always happy to give you Todd updates when he barks at the screen because it really annoys me.
Last one. So towards the end, Gundy says to Ray, "You wake up every morning like disappointed because you're a dreamer." Was he actually a dreamer? Because he struggled so much to come up with anything creative.
that's what he
whatsoever.
Tried to be.
He
Yeah.
was talking about whether he goes, "You're not a you're not cynical."
Cynical, yeah.
Well, no, you're not a cynic. You're cynical.
Cool, yeah.
Because you wake up every day being a dreamer, but then you get disappointed
Yeah.
that the world is as it is, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely don't show. But Ray kind of has some drive to what he's trying to do by the end of it.
Yeah.
Which.
He wants to find out why Taft was killed.
Yeah,
That's his
exactly.
drive, yeah.
So there's a friendship there, but there's also there's some sort of drive to him. I don't think he expects much from people. That's probably the main thing.
Yeah.
All right, are we
A cool line though. Maybe in another movie it might have had a lot more
emphasis? Sting. I reckon it's time we go around the table and we each give a rating out of 5 to finally come up with a overall rating between our panel. MJ, do you want to kick us off today?
Love to. So I really enjoyed this 70 minutes, and I love that this film was different. I haven't seen films really like this. I love that it had a lot of fun with a nonsense premise, but still allowed itself to provide some light commentary on societal issues. All the characters were interesting, quirky, and they existed with acting performances that demanded you to take notice. This was a really fun ride. 3.5 stars.
Very nice. I thought it was, quite an original idea. But like I said before, it tried a little too hard with the comedic elements when it could have been just as impactful and relevant if it was maybe a character study using like the analogy, like I said before, for like, depression or overcoming odds or, rebounding back. And I guess, like you said, maybe that's a bit more mainstream, but I still felt like this could have been an indie film and done that. It wasn't a complete waste of time though, because it still intrigued me a little bit with the weirdness of it all. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. Heater.
So yeah, I didn't really enjoy this movie. I get what they were doing, and it was well made in that sense of it was kind of made exactly how they wanted it to be, but it just didn't appeal to me and get me in. I think like the same way it did for MJ. So yeah, it wasn't great for me. I gave it 1.5 out of 5.
Awesome, man. So what does that give us as an overall average amongst us?
2.33.
2.33. Not. Yeah, it's about halfway. It's not too bad.
Seems pretty similar to what a lot of the ratings from other audiences kind of on those IMDb and Letterboxd sites gave it, and Rotten Tomatoes.
All right. So each week we pop a question up on social media. I don't tell my co-hosts what the question is. This week the question is, what was on Ray's final greeting card? What do you think the final message was? Because they did that nicely where
you're never going to know.
You're never going to know. Multiple people saw it and said, "That's amazing. That's great." So
that's why you were never going to know.
So what do you think? What do you think was on it? That's what we're going to
come up with some theories and some of our own greeting cards.
Yeah. So this question will be on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at FlixForum. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean.
I tell you what, if there's some good ones on there, I'm stealing them for future birthday cards.
Change your career
and things like that.
There was nothing on the front cover, was there?
I'm pretty
sure. It's a Girlfriend's Day, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it was like blank, or there wasn't
a pretty plain cover.
It was all what was inside.
It was on the inside.
So if you're going to try and think of what it is, it's not going to be like a 2-part, like da-da-da, and then open. And then
I wonder if you'll get the ex-wife's husband to draw the pictures for it. And so next week we are looking at the 2017 comedy thriller. It's called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. It's directed by Macon Blair. It stars Melanie Linsky, Elijah Wood, David Yao, Jane Levy, and Devon Gray. So Elijah Wood.
I like the long title.
Did you say?
And he's another long title.
Title.
I generally like films with Elijah Wood, so this could be a good one.
Interesting.
Did you say comedy thriller?
Comedy thriller is what it's classified on by Netflix.
Should be interesting.
Should be interesting. Well, this was a comedy drama, so we'll see how many laughs we get.
IMDb calls it a comedy crime drama thriller, so it's just got a few genres in there.
A few genres.
Cool.
So looking forward to doing that one next week. Hope you'll join us. I'd like to thank you guys for coming along today and having a nice chat.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks,
Very
MJ.
nice chat. I feel a little. I was hoping we would have a different discussion today. I didn't read you guys as well as I thought I would have.
That's all right.
I'm leaving a bit flatter than I came in.
That's the idea of film, is everyone sees it differently, so nothing wrong with that. All right, we will see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.